Good evening. The opinions and statements voiced by our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this network. Enjoy the shows.
We've been expecting you.
Monday, time for our maven of the supernatural, Denise Pridemore. This is the Paranormal Pride. Join to listen and chat live on WBHM-DB.com or Spreaker app. Search WBHM-DB every Monday at 7 p.m. Central for your supernatural paranormal fix. Welcome to the Paranormal Pride, where the show is about the guest and the listener.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Welcome to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and I have a special guest for you guys tonight. I have Patti Negri. I have been excited about this since she turned around and answered me right away when I asked, and I was so excited because I didn't expect her to answer that fast. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy this because, well, even if you don't, I am. So it's going to be all about me tonight. No, it's going to be all about Patti, and we're going to have a great time. And if you don't know Patti, she was on Ghost Adventures, not just once, but multiple times. And you may remember her from the Halloween special at Zach's Haunted Museum there in Vegas. And she was the White Witch, and then the Dark Witch was down in the basement. And Patti made me laugh a lot in that one. Well, because I felt the turmoil between you and the other lady. I don't know if that was more of Zach going, hey, you guys need to have a little conflict, or you really had conflict. But she was a little bit weird. But I remember her from when they went overseas, but she made them feel weird anyway back then. So welcome, Patti, to the Paranormal Pride.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Yes, no, Zach doesn't tell us to do anything, honestly. He wants it as real and fresh, and I've done two at the museum episodes with Lady Snake, and that was all real. And like the first one was the one around the Ed Gaines Cauldron, and when Father Sebastian the Vampire was there, and Bloody Mary was there, and I had no idea that anybody was there. He just put me in that little gypsy wagon. Again, he keeps everybody separated. He doesn't tell you who's there. If I'm going into a haunted house, he doesn't tell me the history. I am kept sequestered. They will lock you. They'll leave you in the van. They'll leave you in a room. Anything they have to do. He wants it legit. Even the second one, the 4-hour special of Ghost Adventures, I knew everybody else was there. We all knew each other. Oops, sorry. We all knew each other was there. I was hanging in the room. We were sequestered together. It was great. Chris Fleming and Josh Gates and Michael and Mary and Justin Spurrier and Josh P. Warren, all these people. Lady Snake was kept at a whole different hotel. She was kept at a whole different room. He just always once said, oh, yeah, and here's Lady Snake.
Yeah, she was, she was kind of odd. Well, not odd, strange, I guess, is what I mean.
Yeah.
She made you think a little bit more about the dark side of things, and but like I said, I remembered her when I saw her. It's like I remember her from the other show, and so I always thought that was interesting. But like I said, I remembered you from your first one, and I liked you then.
Aww.
And I'm not one of those people that goes out and says, oh, well, this person was on TV. I need to talk to them right now. And it's just, I was getting to these, I told everybody, I said, I need to find some new guests to really get you guys thinking about stuff. So that's how you came about.
Awesome.
And so like for the next few weeks, I've got, well, next week I have a new guest. And then after that, I'm going to Vegas. So, well, my daughter's pregnant and she lives there. So, and my other daughter's there, and we haven't seen her since she left in September of last year. So, it's time for us to go. We're going to take the long way to Vegas through Las Vegas, New Mexico. So we're going to go to Vegas twice.
Awesome. Vegas to Vegas. I didn't even know there was a Las Vegas, New Mexico.
Actually, I believe that Las Vegas is actually named after it.
Oh, wow.
And Las Vegas, New Mexico has a very dark history as being one of the baddest Old West towns that there was at one time. And their history goes back a lot further than some of the other Old West towns to like 1600. So it's going to be interesting. And, the Ghost Adventures actually did the La Castaneda Hotel there. And we're not staying there. It's next to the train. I don't want to hear a train. When I wake up in the morning, I told my husband, I said, we'll stay at the Haunted Plaza Hotel instead. And, but we're also going through Dodge City, and a lot of the people from Dodge City went to Las Vegas. And so I'm just happy as long as we get to where we're going to see the daughter and the granddaughter, I'm happy. I mean, there's not much that's going to upset me. Although I've never been to the Haunted Museum yet.
Oh, well, you're going, aren't you?
No, I don't think it's open. A lot of things aren't open on the Strip still. And
they're open.
They are?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it would just depend on other things. Because, like this Strip is the granddaughter's birthday. So that's always the most important. We tell people all the time, family is the most important thing. So it is. That's what we plan on doing. And we've got to try to stay away from as many people as possible since the daughter's pregnant.
Right. So that makes sense. But but again, they're not on the Strip. Know that they're all by themselves.
Yeah.
And I know that they're taking lots of protocols, and even when lots of people, each little tour is a small little group. But I understand completely. The museum will be there for years. You can see it next time.
Well, we were going to drive by there when they were building it. It took so long to get it open.
Yeah.
We're going to be open. We're going to be open, and then it wasn't. And then we're going to be open, and then it wasn't. And it was like, okay. So, but we've been going for years at this point, and like I was telling you off air, we know Justin because he used to live just down here in Chanute, Kansas, and so we're not that far away from where he was living before he moved to Vegas. So, and he doesn't live too far from where my daughter lives now in Vegas.
Oh,
so,
awesome.
And he's a good guy. I really like him. We met at a paranormal conference. I'd had him on my show, and then we met at a paranormal conference, and I saved him from getting yelled at by his wife because he had just bought really expensive sunglasses and he left them on my table. And I was like, okay, well, I found him, made sure he got him back before he left, because Kansas City to Chanute is a little drive. So he always remembers me because of that. And I have him coming up to be on a show as a tribute show to a friend of ours that passed. So I'm going to be talking to him for that. So like I said, he is a good guy. I really like him. I just remember him driving all the way out there in the winter from Kansas, driving across New Mexico and all that, and taking all those roads and trying to do it in one night. One day. It's 21 hours from where we live. So for him, it might have been 20 hours, 20, maybe 19 and a half. So just watching him, drive all this way by himself, I can't imagine that. So when he moved there, I was glad.
Good. Yeah, he does. He's a driver though. Because I remember one time. Again, this is the Scottsdale one that we were talking about or might talk about. And I was like, "Oh, are you staying? Are you staying here?" He's saying, "No, no, I'm driving back to wherever he was driving back. He had a cot in his car, sleep in the cot." It's like, really? Okay.
Uh, he is, like I
Yeah,
said,
he is a great
he's a good
guy.
guy, and his son is following in his footsteps, doing a lot of technical things. So that's interesting for him. So, um, okay, so here's my main question to you
Okay.
is going to be right now. How did you end up on that very first episode that you were on of Ghost Adventures?
Yeah, the first one was all by fluke. Honestly, I think I've shot 10 now, counting the Deadly Possessions with the Peggy the Doll Seance. So I've done 10 episodes, which is, I think, more than pretty much anybody, which
Mm-hmm.
is which is great. I'm honored every time. It's because it's always an adventure. But the very first one, I got called up. It was for Haunted Hollywood, and somehow they had called me up because they had known that I had seen the spirit of Charlie Chaplin at the bar. I used to do like ghost tours and I used to do shows at the American Legion Hall. And I don't know, maybe the guy who ran the place said, "Oh, there's this medium girl who has seen Charlie Chaplin there." So I got called up. It was just like literally come over that day, just like what they, like what you did, like when you just that one person comes and gets interviewed, the one local person. But somehow I think they just kind of figured out who I was. I mean, I've been in Hollywood a long time and I've been doing I've done a lot of TV much more before Ghost Adventures. And I think they figured out that, number one, I'm a legit medium, psychic and medium. TV is my milieu. It's what I do. And so they just started calling me. It's like, "Oh, we need a seance here, or let's test whatever this is, have Patti show up and walk through it." Um, and then it got to the point I would even send them a couple places like, "Oh gosh, you got to go to this Reseda house. You guys have got to go." So on episodes like that, I'm less involved because again, they want it real. They want it legit. So I will show up at the beginning. Same thing with the Pasadena Ritual House. They
Mm-hmm.
won't have me go in and tell them what happened because I know what happened.
Right. Yeah, because that does take away a little bit from the legitimacy at that
Yes.
point, because you've been there, you've done that. And yeah, when they asked me to do mine, I was an hour and a half away,
Ah.
but I was the tour guide, even though I lived an hour and a half away. And my favorite part, I told Ron this, when Jeff called me, I was excited to talk to Jeff. I love
great.
Jeff Ballinger. And so I didn't care about anything else. I told my husband, I said, if my part doesn't get on TV, I don't care. I got to talk to Jeff. and he's like, "Really?" And I go, "Yeah." And that's how it was. So when I found out that I really was on there, because a lot of parts do get cut.
Oh yeah.
And because they do a lot of interviews and some of them don't make it. And a friend of mine, she did one for down in Springfield, Missouri at the Pythian Castle, and her part got cut, but yet it was really interesting. But they went a different route with what they were doing. And then here's one that's kind of funny. At McPike Mansion, McPike Mansion, it was funny. We were listening to the show, we were watching it, and all of a sudden there was an EVP that they caught. It was my voice.
Ah.
I was in Illinois at the time, but not that part of Illinois. We were at Ashmore Estates that day that they taped. So it was funny that they got my voice. And I told my husband, I said, "Well, we've been there, for the last 10 years. So maybe it was just mimicking me."
Yeah, because it disembodied you.
Yeah. And the thing is not long after that, we had a lot of things happen, but it was just kind of weird when we finally saw it and we're going, "That sounds like me." And my voice is very distinct. So it just really hit us that was weird. Yeah, we were in Illinois, but we were still like 2 hours away because we weren't asked to be there, so we weren't going to show up. That's not right. You don't do that.
Right.
But it was just really very interesting that that's the kind of EVP they would get. So it just, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. My husband says they can sure tell that the Ghost Adventure guys really like having you on their shows.
Yeah, he says some very nice things. It's good because it gives them some confirmations and stuff. Again, when I walk into a house and fall down in a bathroom or this or that, and stuff that they'd already looked at that I have no idea of. And what I love is that I'm a low tech girl. I mean, I've been doing seances and things since I was 7 or 8. But the most high tech I usually carry is like some dowsing rods or something. But and for the first time when I was seeing things like I'm explaining something that happens and Billy or Jay's in the other room with the SLS camera, he's showing on an SLS exactly what I'm explaining. To me, it's like, yeah, that's what I see. How'd you guys do that? That's amazing. So yeah, we have so many adventures. Again, a lot of it doesn't make it on because people don't realize that they shoot for like 4 big days for 43 minutes. So
Right.
They just have to get their story in the best that they can.
Right. And sometimes things don't happen, so they fill in with other stuff too. Like the one in Jamaica. The one in Jamaica, they filled in with a lot of goofing off, playing soccer and other stuff. So, I mean, I know that happens. So, and that's the reality of it. Sometimes there's not a lot of stuff so you have to use the goofing off stuff to fill in the space. So, but
yeah.
Are you doing any more things with them?
I never know until it happens. Literally, I actually just talked to one of their producers. Was looking for something specific here, but I'm like, I'm sorry, I cleared that. It's all clear. We do that backwards thing often because one of the things I do, I'm clearing spaces and clearing houses and stuff. That's why every once in a while I go, ooh, you guys might like this, and they do or they don't. They vet it out, but they were looking for something in a certain area, so maybe, but we'll see.
One thing I did see. Okay, I watch Days of Our Lives. It's been on TV since I was,
born.
I was born in 65. Yeah, so I was born in 65. It started in November of 65, and someone in my family has watched it this whole time. So I know almost every show except for the last month because our TV has Dish is fighting with them, with that channel. But I know everybody, and you were on one episode in 1986.
One of my first TV things. Oh my God. You didn't see that, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh my God.
I don't know that I don't
that.
remember it. I know that I saw it because I was pregnant at the time and I was sitting at home waiting to have a baby. So I know that I saw it. The thing is I can't picture you, but I remember the storyline. So, and so I was reading through your IMDb and I was like, huh. And you were on Miami Vice.
Yeah, I did a lot of Miami Vices, but I did a lot of voiceover. So again, just like your voice on Ghost Adventures, if anybody listens closely, though I don't have as distinctive a voice, I used to do a lot of their ADR and voices. I even did one episode where I had to they didn't like some woman's voice and I had to redo her voice, like match up the voice. And that's the first time I had ever done that too. So, so my voice is on way more Miami Vices than I am, but.
Well, a friend of mine that I filmed a film with, I was the liaison and I was in the film. Richard Grund was also in Miami Vice for only, I think, one show, but he was also a bodyguard back in the day. So I remember him sharing his, he happened to be on and he taped it with his phone, the clip, and said, look, this is me back then, So it's funny. You guys may have crossed paths, may not even know that you did.
Yeah. Hollywood's a small town. It's as weird as it seems, this itself, it's a small town. You run into people again and that, oh yeah, we did that in like 1980, whatever, or 1990 something. It's kind of cool that way.
Yeah,
Actually.
I was actually in Hollywood in 1986.
Oh, wow.
When I was pregnant with that same kid. I was 5 months pregnant. Was the last time that I was there. My husband was working at Beverly Center,
Yep.
putting in shoplifting detection systems, and flights there were cheap. And he goes, "Why don't you come out here?" Because he was going to be out there like I think it was like a month or something. So I don't know, but we're at our first break. Everybody, you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be back with Patti Negri here in just a few minutes.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk radio.
Listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guest tonight is Patti Negri. Hopefully you remember her from Ghost Adventures. And Gary really likes his dowsing rods. And I collect them. And Gary has used his dowsing rods to find graves, and to find other things that are missing around the house, things like that. So he enjoys his dowsing rods. He has the thickest dowsing rods I've ever seen.
Really?
Yes, they're very thick and very heavy, because he made my husband a pair just like them.
That's right. I have them a little bit thick because some are too thin, and my thin ones actually bend, like with energy as spirit. It's not me bending them. All of a sudden, one starts getting this big bend in it, and then the other one starts. It just comes out of nowhere. So I like pretty solid ones, but I bet you his are bigger.
Oh, yes, they are. They're very thick, and I've seen that with my. I have some that are copper, and if it's really warm outside, they will actually bend on their own.
Wow. Yeah.
So because this copper's so soft, so but my favorite ones are my coat hangers. The
Really?
first ones I made out of a set of coat hangers, they work the best.
That's
I
awesome.
don't know why, but I have some made by some other people that were on Ghost Adventures. Kara Shoplinger, her husband, was on there for the mines up there near the Eureka mine, I think it is, the Jefferson mine, something like that. It's way up north in California. So, but yeah, she made me some, and I have some that are telescoping, which are handy if you're giving a presentation. You can use them to point too, because it's long and straight until you bend it. So, so when did you start using dowsing rods for paranormal?
I mean, that's all I've ever used them for. Actually, I think I started using them for my seances. If some people aren't really comfortable if I'm like channeling a spirit, and if I have a seance going around my dining room table or whatever, I want everybody comfortable. And if somebody doesn't want somebody talking through me, I just started to use those, and they became just this real handy dandy thing. So I think even from that very first Ghost Adventures, I always have them. You could see me oftentimes with them in my hand. Sometimes I get them put down somewhere because I'm not always doing that. So yeah, but I started out really not just doing investigations, but with just talking to spirit, just in my seances and mediumship stuff. I do a lot of speaking, so I might have like 4.
Are you there? I can't hear you. Can you hear her, Ron? I don't have.
Trial.
Kat, can you hear me? Okay.
Hello?
Hi. Okay. Can you guys hear us now, Ron? Hopefully we all come back. I don't know what happened. All I did was look down and saw that there was no light on my headset.
Hello. I'm here. What?
Okay. Probably, which we'll talk about that. Okay. Can you guys hear us now? Ron? Okay, he says he can hear us. We're all good. Okay. Back to the dowsing rods. You said you were doing seances and other things in the beginning. Were you doing tours along with those seances, or just suddenly started, you realized, hey, I'm spirits, I'm going to do these seances, and then I'm going to invite people or sell tickets, or what? Welcome back. I know it's a little odd, but Patty's back, so am I. And when we lost connection somehow, some way, we're going to talk about that here in a second, what it might be. So we were talking about dowsing rods, seances. So when you first got started, you knew you could talk to spirits? Did you just start out having seances and inviting people over, or was it like tours and events where you were selling tickets?
Well, in the beginning, I started when I was 7 or 8.
Okay.
7 or 8 years old in my little suburban home. But when I started doing it publicly, when this is what I do, this is my world, I just started a little around my dining room table. I have these little gatherings of 13 people or less that fit around my dining room table. And then again, get more and more with more popularity. I would be bigger groups and bigger groups. Then when it turned into galleries, like I might be at, say, UC Santa Barbara, and there's 500 people. So it's more of a gallery read. To me, what gallery read like, John Edwards or Teresa Caputo, I peek open the veil for everybody, peek open so we could talk to spirits. But my version of a seance is I blow open the veil so everybody really themselves could see. I've been just doing that since I was a kid. So I will take responsibility for all those. So again, if you have, 400 or 6 people in a big hall and you're on stage, they're really nice visual. And then I saw how accurate they were with everything. I started using them in my clearings. My other thing I do all the time is space clearings, house clearings, office buildings, agents buildings, law office buildings, get rid of, whether it's spirits, often it is, sometimes it's negative energy. And walking through a house, before my even psychic senses, it'll go whoop, everything to the right. Okay, up, yep, this mirror, go there. So it's just part of my toolkit for almost anything. And they're crazy accurate so much, even in just regular divination. I tested them for almost a year on sports teams, like Yankees are going to beat over Boston or whatever. And my husband's a sports guy. And we'd look at the thing the day before and I'd say, okay, this team will win or that team. He's like, that team can't win. They're the worst in the league, blah, blah, blah. That team. And my dowsing rods were always right. I was like, these are good. Okay.
Well, I know we use them quite a bit in different things, but it gets to the point sometimes. I don't know with you. You were saying before that that you like to use them because sometimes people don't get it. I guess when you channel a spirit and they're coming through you, it's more like a visual. The dowsing rods.
Well, yes, for people if there's somebody's not comfortable, like, again, the ones around the table aren't like the ones on Ghost Adventures. I am not channeling serial killers or the Black Dahlia murderer or anything like that. The ones around the dining room table, or I just did 2 for 50 people in Virginia City around the suicide table 2 weeks ago. That was my first live event in months. We had to dance around figuring out social distancing, but we did. To 50 people each. But the little ones around the table, or even the bigger ones, if anybody's uncomfortable, I don't want anybody uncomfortable or nervous because that affects the energy. So if they don't want me all of a sudden to take on grandma's face and exact movements and things like that, I will just talk it through it or use the thing. Okay, look at grandma's right there on your left. Grandma's right there saying yes, saying no. And some people are just more comfortable that way.
I can agree. I know that when I was doing tours, I would use the dowsing rods to demonstrate to people how the spirits would answer. And eventually I got to the point to where I didn't need the dowsing rods anymore because I knew what the spirits were going to say. I could hear them.
Right.
You get to that point to where you just know, and then you stop using them, but I still carry them. I may not use them, but I still carry them.
Right.
And it's actually kind of funny at times. But remember I told you before the show that there was something I was going to ask you about.
Yes.
And that's something that happened over the weekend. So, and I think that could be what's interfering with us today. It happens every once in a while if something interferes. And knock on wood, I usually don't have technical difficulties. So keep that in mind. So, so over the weekend, I was in bed. I had woken up. The cat wasn't behaving. We have 5, but this one sleeps right next to me all the time, and she kept moving around, and it woke me up. And so I'm laying there, and as I'm looking, there is this thing. I don't really see it. Usually when I see spirits, I can see their face. I can feel who it is, things like that. This time I couldn't feel who it was. They didn't have a face. They were more like shadow, which I don't normally have. And it's bent over or knelt down next to the bed like it's petting the cat. And then it gets up and it walks away. The thing is that normally I'm not startled. It happens all the time. But this time I was startled and I couldn't go back to sleep. It made me feel like there was something not right about whatever this was that was in my room.
Right.
Do you have any feeling as to what I might have saw?
What I'm feeling really quick, it felt like literally passing by spirit. I don't think it was something specifically looking for you, but it feels male. It doesn't feel horribly negative, just maybe not somebody you want to have in your house uninvited. But something about the hands. Do you remember anything about the hands? I'm very strongly getting, like, whether it was like petting the cat, I'm getting there's something about their hand and their ring finger is standing out to me. So I don't know if anything of that stands out to you.
It was
But
dark, so I didn't really. Only thing I know is that it felt like the cat was being petted.
yeah, I think again, their hands are, some spirits are able to do more with one. So I get strong with the cat. So I think they were. I think it's just because, what I get, you're gifted, you're very intuitive, you're very high vibrational. So I think, spirits just drafting by, they could stop at your neighbors, the next neighbors, and she could see me. Okay, I'm staying here.
Well, I will tell you, we have had, my daughter, all my kids have moved out. But a few years ago, well, when my daughter was in high school, I guess it was about 10 years ago, a spirit came to our house and went downstairs. My children are also very intuitive, can see spirits. And my daughter said she looked over in the doorway and there was this woman standing there in a Papa John's shirt, a Papa John's t-shirt. And she looked over at her and she goes, "Go upstairs and see my mom." And later on that day, so the woman came up here. I don't remember much about that other than the fact that morning, it was a rough morning getting the kids out to school. And my daughter sends me a message and she goes, "There was a body found down on 311th Street. We live at 287th. And so we're way out in the boonies. 311th is even more boonies than where we are." And I just told her, I said, "Well, it's not your dad." Being sarcastic, it's not your dad. And because like I said, we had a rough morning that day with the 4 kids. And she goes, "No," she goes, "it was a woman." And I go, "Okay." And later on that day, we're watching the news at 5:00 and they put this woman on TV. We didn't have the sound on. And Lauren goes, "That's her." And I go, "Yeah, it is." And found out that this was the woman that they found in the ditch.
Wow.
Because we live on a main thoroughfare. A lot of times when people are trying to hide from the highway, they go by our house. So it's quite possible that we have a lighthouse out there to spirits. When we were all here at the same time, it may have drawn them here, but I sometimes feel like we have an open door policy when it comes to spirits. So it's either that or I'm getting ready to go on an investigation and I didn't know it. Because I don't know about you. Do you get visits from spirits before you go on an investigation or go to do something?
Sometimes, yes. And even more than investigations, if again, the clearings that I'm going to do, if I'm going to go do a clearing, it's like, what? They come visit me, like, "Oh, you don't need to come. You don't need to come. You don't need to come." Or the place, it either comes, the place that I'm going to clear, whether it's a week away or a few days away, it either gets way more active or absolutely stops the activity, I guess, depending on the thing. But so I try to not put it in my head. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not catch them off guard.
Well, I know sometimes they catch me off guard. It kind of makes me, a lot of times when the spirits come to me, it tells me that we're going to have a lot of activity to the place that we're going.
Yeah.
Because they're excited that we're coming, or, "Oh, wow, fresh meat." I don't know what it is.
Again, you have an open sign on. Yep.
So, but we do have a question in chat. It's from April. She's my cousin. And I'm proud that she's my cousin and she listens. She goes, "What did your school friends think since you started at such a young age talking to spirits?"
Well, I was really, really shy. So honestly, I had a very, very small group of friends. They were just kind of used to me. We did interesting things, but I don't think as a rule, if kids in school what Patty talks to dead people, what Patty has all these imaginary friends that aren't imaginary at all. Even on the magical side of things, I would find myself, in the backyard picking rosemary and just knowing if I put rosemary in my mom's purse, it would draw money for her. It's just in the blood. But kids, I don't think what I can remember didn't think much of anything. I
Oh,
was
and
shy, really
uh,
shy.
I don't see that, but
I I know nobody
well,
who knows me now can realize how shy I was.
well, that's the thing. People know me now, and they wouldn't believe how, uh, let's see, how uncouth I was, or how I used to just say exactly what was on my mind in such a way that I didn't care if I hurt somebody's feelings.
Hmm.
So I used to not have that sense to know when to shut up.
Hmm.
So I do now. Working in the corporate world, you learn that.
Right.
So, but April has another question. She goes, "What do you think of Zach, or did you get a read on him?"
Oh, yeah, he is brilliant. He is great. I love that man. He's got a magic about him. That's true. Believe me, I get calls every day from all over the world. No, it's just fine. It's just his magic. He's really, really intuitive himself. He
Hmm.
takes it on. And the coolest thing about him and the crew is that they're 120% committed. They really are. I mean, you know that from working on him. I mean, I used to like watch the show a little bit, but not a whole lot. And I used to kind of, like a lot of people think, oh, who are these big macho guys in tight t-shirts who, you know, terrorize the ghost and run like a little girl when a pin drops. But but the second I got there, I go, oh my God, it's just they are that child. They have that childlike wonder. They are committed 120 and 130%. They put every cell of their body into it. That's why they're in their like 21st season. That's why they're in their 11th plus year, because
Hmm.
it's passion. It's real. And they love every second when it hasn't got old. It hasn't got old.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, my read on Zach was that he's a type A personality, and his name's going on that, and he wants it to be perfect.
Yes, that
You know,
too.
because the behind the scenes things are a lot different than some of the stuff that you see on TV.
Right.
You know,
He's a multitasker. I mean, he could be number one. He's starring the show. He's executive producing the show. He's directing as he goes. And it is we're like most TV shows, you've got like 30, 40 people and this guy's moving this light and they're not, it's not just the four guys anymore. There's a couple crew members, but they do everything. It's more like an old fashioned theater company. It's like, Billy, bring over this light. Aaron, get that, do this, do that. But he's pretty good at multitasking, staying in the moment with whatever's going on and saying, we need this kind of a light over here. We need this over there. We got to catch it before the sunset over there. And then get the K2 meter, then get the SLS and do, more than you guys see, because you guys on the TV people don't see the, the technical part of where you set up the camera here and the getting the cords in. He's kind of like an octopus that way, multitasking and staying in the moment.
yeah, I mean, like I said, what I saw just basically told me, yes, he's a taskmaster when he has to be, but the rest of the time, you know, he his name's on it. You have to realize that type A personality is going to kick in when it needs to. And Aaron is such a sweet guy.
Yeah.
He is, but he's a loner when he's not on camera. He wants to be alone a lot, from what I saw. Of course, maybe because the time that it was, we were having tornadoes and hail and all this other crap. They probably were a little concerned. But that's just how I saw it. But that doesn't mean I'm right. But I've had to stand up for him. People ask me, how were you treated by Zach? I said, he treated me with respect as well as my family. And I don't care about what anybody else has to say. He treated me nice.
Yeah, I have never been treated by anything but respect by all of them. When I show up, say I haven't done a show in whatever that season, it's like Patty, it's Patty. All of them. They each have their own personality. They are all great. They each have their own way of how they clear everything. And they're all really close friends. it's a family, of course. Any group becomes a family, even counting the directors and the few other people in the crew and Jeff and whoever else is there, Griffin and all the guys. But again, it's passionate and they really are friends.
Perfect. Well, you know what? We're going to go to our next break. Everyone, you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We will be back shortly with Patti.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guest tonight is Patti Negri, and we are having a good time. So if you want to have a good time, ask a question and we'll get it asked and answered. So, what are some of the other shows that you've done?
Not that many paranormal shows. I do like the regular shows who need something paranormal. Jeff Lewis Flipping Out. I've cleared his house for him. I've worked with Nicole Richie. I've done many episodes of, again, some silly shows like Bad Girls Club. I work a lot with Awesomeness TV and their show LA Story, which are very youth oriented, and I love, because I love working with high school and college, and again, just opening up their mind, not just about paranormal, but about possibility and how powerful we are. Oh, wow. I don't know. Beverly Hills Pawn, Hollywood Hillbillies, just name a reality show, whether it's on my IMDb or not. I've good chance I've done it. And so I remember my first one, like 2008. I used to be very closeted, though. Because I ran a production company. I still do, a company called Brain Brew Entertainment. And it was very corporate, like you come from the corporate world. And I produced these big shows, big live, like industrial song and dance extravaganzas. And I'm like, these people cannot know that, I talk to dead people and dance around the thing. I'm talking Microsoft and all these big companies.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept it really separate. Then in 2008, when that great big crash came, the economic crash came, and
Mm-hmm.
corporate entertainment became a dirty word, and reality TV was picking up. I remember getting a call from somebody. They're going, we need somebody who's really good at seance. We need a seance for this show called Mobile Home Disaster. I'm like, nope, I can't do it. I have to keep that very private, even though my private life was all of that. I go, no. They go, please, please, please. I'm like, well, what is it? They're going, it's Mobile Home Disaster on CMT, Country Music Television. And again, this is way back when. I go, well, nobody's going to watch that. Okay, I'll do it. And then I went and I fell in love with the genre. I also have a huge sketch comedy. I used to be a regular at the Comedy Store and all these places I used to tour. So it's like, oh my God, reality TV. They follow you around with up to 3 cameras. You get to do what you do. I get to get my little message of empowerment and how amazing we as humans are. So again, it was great, great, great. And we did the seance and I go, I love this, but no, that's no more. And then I remember once it aired, my first corporate client called and she goes, Patti, I saw you on TV last night. And I'm like, oh God, I'll never work for Bank of America or whoever it was again. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, she goes, I didn't know you were into the paranormal. I love the paranormal and blah, blah. And we had the best conversation ever. So we had, and it didn't hurt my corporate thing. But again, that world kept continuing to go down, 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 that corporate. And the other, all of a sudden I was discovered in the reality world, in the Hollywood world. I was still there as an actress, but just not as much because I was so busy running my production company that I just kind of felt this is more fun than even acting. This is even more fun than producing big shows. And I remember the first time I walked on none of it is about money. I do nothing for money. I mean, I do, of course, get paid for things, but that's never, ever, ever been a goal of mine. But I do remember the first time I walked on a stage, it was just me speaking. I was doing, again, another college or corporate thing, kind of mediumship, lots of people. And I remember walking on stage. It was just me showing up. They treat me great. And I'm walking on stage and I go, oh my gosh, I am getting the exact same amount of money for this that I got last week to produce a show that out of the same money, I paid 7 actors, 3 musicians, a rehearsal hall for 2 weeks. I printed the programs. I helped make the costumes. I did the props. And now I'm just walking on stage. And again, they're both inspirational because then I'm teaching like motivation and HR policies via, Ethics Jeopardy or during a murder mystery or whatever. But now I'm doing from my spiritual perspective, from my look how cool we are. So it just, I go, oh, okay, this is where I'm being led by spirit. This is pretty awesome. I mean, I still have my production company. I've got people out doing a couple things this next week, I think, but it's become my side job and not even very often.
Well, that's good. I mean, as
Yep.
long as you're happy, that's
Very
that's the thing. You're happy, and that counts for so much more. Like you said, it's not the money.
Yeah.
You're paying your bills, but you're having a good time and you're meeting all these people.
Yeah. I love it.
That respect you for you, not for your business.
Yeah. And again, I just like little light bulbs turning on. So, again, you're a corporate, you go to corporate conventions and those are great. And everybody's out to do something. Go to a paranormal convention and woohoo, everybody's there just to have fun.
Yeah.
Or a spiritual convention, because I do a lot of those that don't have anything to do with the spirit, just more new age and spirituals, again, motivational stuff. But again, everybody's there to learn and grow and be inspired and inspiration, not just what's the bottom line at a corporate convention.
Well, at a corporate convention, a lot of times it's because you're forced to be there.
Right.
And you're going, okay, I'm just looking forward to the bar tonight. I mean,
yep.
Let's be honest. That's what I've seen. They took us the first time I went to Vegas. I went with my boss. Okay, you never want to go to Vegas with your boss and be staying in a hotel that has burlesque girls on the tables. Makes you feel really small and overdressed. Actually, I was fully dressed and I felt overdressed. Or underdressed. I wanted more clothes, but yeah, they had to stay at Planet Hollywood, and it's like this doesn't seem like the right place for this meeting, at the time. And so I kind of laughed, but like I said, that was the first time I'd ever been there. I had no clue what to expect. Luckily, my boss he had 4 kids and a wife. He was just kind of walking through, not paying attention to anything. Neither was I, but I do happen to see stuff. I do pay attention to what's going on around me. But I can say that during those meetings, I was just looking forward to when we were going to go eat that night.
Right.
And so it didn't matter who was talking, no matter how good they were. I was still looking forward to when I was going to go eat. So, and I will tell you at paranormal conferences and stuff, yeah, I'm looking at who do I get to meet.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to meet each person, no matter who they are, I'm excited to meet them. And that's how people probably feel when they meet you. You've been on TV. I mean, I know when right after I was first on TV, a lot of people saw me and said, I know you. I know you. And I'd put my glasses on and then they go, oh, you are on Ghost Adventures, because I don't wear my glasses. They're on the top of my head. And that's when I realized, great, there's going to be people that are going to be watching me because I was on TV. Do you, because of that, I have stalkers. Do you have stalkers?
Well, I have a few, overzealous fans, I'm going to say. I don't even use that term because I don't want to turn it big negative. I'm very careful. And remember, I'm not just a psychic. I'm not just a medium. I'm not just a paranormal investigator. I'm a witch. I'm a good witch. I don't do anything negative, but I'm really good at warding. I'm really good at protection methods. I'm really, really good. So, I mean, I'm insanely public for who I am. Yes, I do get, recognized in the grocery store, but I do still have people come to my home, not during COVID, but I have people come to my home. My address is very public, but I'm really good at my magic.
Well, we're going to talk about that magic after the top of the hour, because I don't know anything about witchcraft. I don't know anything about that, only that I know that you are a witch. So I will talk to you about that after that. So I am going to ask you this question. April asks, have you ever had someone come up in a reading that really scared you or wasn't meant to be present at that reading? So basically a spirit.
Oh, so like a private one-on-one reading, like my regular sessions with people?
I would assume so.
Well, yeah. Again, I'm pretty good at directing who gets to come in or not, unless we're really looking at something, like if somebody really has an attachment or something. So it's dealing with it. But I have studied for 30 plus years psychic protection. I can't talk. Psychic protection techniques, cosmologies, belief systems, science, occult science, metaphysics. I could talk to deity in almost any belief systems or religion. So I know, and I work elementally, and one of my gifts is I see energy. So again, I feel pretty confident, even going in some of the darker places on Ghost Adventures, or I've had some crazy things. I've had literally, not on Ghost Adventures, but another show, I've had somebody burst into flames in front of me, but I thought, okay, I know how to shut this down. So when working with people, I mean, yes, I get scared like anybody else, but I feel like I've got all the right tools. I've got all the right education. I've got all the right gifts within me to deal with it. But yeah, even you certainly get some big old scary thing shows up. It's like, hello. Okay, I'm not going to show fear because I know that would just feed a negative energy. I'm not going to show anger. That would just feed a negative energy. But since I was talking to spirits, again, as a toddler, I just kind of knew that this realm, this three-dimensional realm, was our realm, this world, that they really had to play by our rules unless we gave them our power. And most people just give them their power, again, with that fear or anger or and you just give away your power. And since I was a little tiny thing, it's like, no, this is mine. You can't have that. And guess what? They go away. And you get into deep, deep demonic or really dark spirits, it's a little harder to do, but 90 high 90 something % of the time, I go in with that full belief that I'm in charge, and therefore I am. Again, on a Ghost Adventures, or my crazy thing that happened was at Marilyn Manson's house, then you could say, okay, I want to know what's here, and I want to take the consequences for what's here, but I still never give up full control. But so circle back around to April's question. I don't think in just doing a regular reading. Some of the harder times were probably at place clearings with the people. I mean, and some of those have been really funny too. I've literally got the ghost of Aaron Spelling, the old TV producer from Love Boat Fantasy, out of the house, haunting the new people who live there. And I'm like going, this is the funniest, weirdest, scariest, most, I'm banishing Aaron Spelling from Spelling Manor.
Right. Well, you know what? We're going to come back and talk some more. We're at the top of the hour break. So everybody, this is your time to go get another drink or snack, whatever, take the dog out. You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be back with Patti in just a few minutes.
It might seem impossible, but even now, you can get the pandemic updates you need, alongside uplifting moments that keep you going. Stay connected with stories for every side of you, from NPR and your listener-supported local NPR station.
Live from NPR News, I'm Jack Speer. The Republican National Convention gavelled in from Charlotte, North Carolina this morning. But as NPR's Sam Gringlass reports, primetime events will continue this evening from an auditorium in Washington, D.C.
President Trump's son, Don Jr., and Senator Tim Scott, the lone black Republican in the United States Senate, will headline the convention's first night. Former UN Secretary Nikki Haley will also get top billing. At the GOP gathering in Charlotte, RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel called the Democrats' convention depressing.
Our party is unified, our supporters are energized, and now we will go forward confident in our cause of re-electing President Trump and Vice President Pence in 70 days from now.
President Trump made a surprise appearance in North Carolina, speaking for nearly an hour at the indoor gathering of delegates who made his nomination official. Sam Gringlass, NPR News.
New York's Democratic Attorney General is asking a court to enforce subpoenas in an investigation into whether Donald Trump's businesses inflated assets on financial statements. State Attorney General Letitia James, in a petition filed today naming the Trump Organization and other business entities. It also names Eric Trump, the president's son. The Attorney General is looking at whether the Trump Organization inflated the value of its assets as it sought to secure loans, tax breaks, and other economic benefits. Former Republican Senator Jeff Flake of Arizona is endorsing Joe Biden for president. From member station KJZZ in Phoenix, Jimmy Jenkins reports Flake says it will be the first time he's voted for a Democratic candidate for president.
Citing President Trump's defiance of the intelligence community, his treatment of allies, and a litany of other complaints, Flake says he cannot support a man who he believes is damaging the country. In a live-streamed address, Flake posed a question to fellow Republicans who believe in the power of conservative ideas.
Will we be in a better position to make the conservative case for governing after 4 more years of this administration?
For Flake, the answer is a hard no. He argues it is no longer enough to simply register disapproval of President Trump. He must be replaced. Arizona is considered a key battleground state in the election. For NPR News, I'm Jimmy Jenkins in Phoenix.
World Health Organization officials say using plasma from those who have recovered from COVID-19 to treat those who are sick is still considered to be an experimental therapy. That preliminary results on whether the technique works remain inconclusive. President Trump over the weekend approved an emergency authorization of so-called convalescent plasma for the treatment of COVID-19. WHO's chief scientist says studies on the effectiveness of the technique have been small so far. Stocks continued their record run-up. The Dow gained 378 points. The Nasdaq was up 67 points today. You're listening to NPR. The popular Chinese-owned video app TikTok is taking aim at the Trump administration's efforts to ban it from the U.S. amid security concerns. Owned by Chinese company ByteDance, TikTok contends the app poses no threat. A suit filed today in federal court against the Commerce Department, President Trump, and Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross. The company saying it's seeking to prevent the U.S. government from banning TikTok without, quote, due process. Scientists in Hong Kong say they have studied a patient who was infected twice with the coronavirus. NPR's Richard Harris says more.
The 33-year-old man first got sick in March with a headache, sore throat, and fever that lasted 3 days. He tested positive for the coronavirus. Long after he recovered, he traveled to Europe. When he returned home in July, he tested positive again at the airport. However, the second time around, he did not have any symptoms, so it could well be that his immune system was primed for a second exposure and successfully protected him. This is the clearest evidence to date that people can get infected a second time with the coronavirus, though it's only a single case, so it's not clear whether this is just a fluke. The research has been accepted for publication in a journal published by the Infectious Diseases Society of America. Richard Harris, NPR News.
One thing that has been shifted by the coronavirus, requirements concerning carry-out cocktails and other alcoholic beverages. A total of 33 states in the District of Columbia are temporarily allowing carry-out cocktails during the pandemic, up from just 2 previously. Struggling restaurants say it's a lifeline allowing them to rehire bartenders and pay rent during the coronavirus pandemic, which has severely cut back on the number of people dining out. I'm Jack Spear, NPR News.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guest tonight is Patti Negri. And we are going to talk about the rest of the questions we have in the chat before we get to the witchcraft. But I think some of the questions in chat have to do with that as well. Another question from April is, she asked if you do remote viewing as well.
I do a little bit of remote viewing, not a lot, because I'm always so right in the moment and doing with whatever I'm doing. I've just never put that much effort, time, or thought into it. Every once in a while it'll come up. It's like, oh, okay, let's give it a try. Probably I do probably more of it than I even thinking about doing it. Oh, I'm doing remote viewing right now. It's just part of whatever I'm working on or doing. But it's not one of my like, oh yes, I'm the remote viewer of the world. Nah.
Does when you're doing readings and stuff, or even remote viewing, does it wear you out?
It can. Again, I've gotten good over it. Of really kind of controlling my energy to an extent. But yes, when I have something that's like, probably use the same with an investigation, or when I have like there's a big ritual or there's a big this or a big seance night, what sometimes we call, and if you go really deep, I call it ritual hangover. You feel like you've been drinking, but you haven't been drinking. This weekend I had an insane week, and I did a conference for Texas, all virtual, and I worked 13 and a half hours the first day, 16 and a half hours the second day. I forget what, 8 and a half hours the third day. Each of them was teaching workshops, doing private sessions with people in between, every single day, doing a seance, doing a workshop. And in between this full-time thing, I did one seance for a whole other group on Friday. I did one thing on Saturday and another thing on Sunday. And I thought I would be a blithering idiot today. So I think, okay, we're at night, we could do this. But I'm a Libra. I like balance. I go with balance. The other thing I do is I really know how to turn it off. My gift. I talk about dancing on both sides of the veil very much, or the crossing of the broom. And I think it makes my ability that much stronger when my switch is on, but then I turn my switch off when I go to the grocery store or do all my errands and regular stuff. I don't want to be seeing dead people. I don't want spirits talking to me. So it makes both sides stronger and makes for a really good holding on of the energy. But yes, if it's a really hard, say, 2-day shoot on Ghost Adventures, yeah, I'm going to be tired the next day.
Well, yeah, that does take a lot out of you. That I do have another question that goes back to paranormal type stuff. Gary asks, he's the one that I was telling you about that really enjoys his dowsing rods. He asks, is there any other equipment that you like to use if you're on an investigation or you're clearing a house? Is there something that you like to use?
In an investigation, I have a K2 meter. I have a millimeter, don't use it right. The spirit box I throw across the room, but I work with people who have really cool equipment. I'm just going to say that. I have really cool equipment, and I let them carry it and I let them use it. I'll be there I'm going to use my senses, my spidey senses, and use that. Again, maybe the dowsing rod's just for pointing me in the right direction. But no, I don't. But I am surrounded with people that do. Now, house clearing, that's a different matter. I show up with 2 giant wicker baskets of every herb and oil and sound making chime and bell and broom. Can't clean a house without a broom and a wand. And I look like, metaphysical Mary Poppins when I show up at a house. I love a big cauldron to burn, the charcoal to burn, this. My clearings, even the tiniest apartment, takes about 2 hours. But it's thorough, and it's a whole new place when you're done, besides getting rid of whatever's negative energy, whether it's illness, anger, sadness, or ghosts or whatever. then I spend as much time filling it back up with exactly what you want. Who gets to come in that front door? Only people invited in, people with respect. What comes in that window? Sunshine, this and that. So it's, lots of tools on the clearings.
I can see that. So now we're going to get into the witchcraft some. April has a comment. She says, I've read some more on magic in her ancient text. She's really into ancient texts. And she found one that said Ham, the son of Noah, was a magician, and they could change the sun, moon, and stars back then. And so, like I said, it's just a comment that she had. So how did you know that you were a witch?
I think it's in the blood. Again, the term is just a chose because it fits best to what I'm doing. But like I said, when I was a little kid, besides seeing spirits, I just knew what to do with herbs and sounds. Even in my first seance, I knew what sounds, vibrational tones would lift the veil, what chants just came out of the inside of me. So I was raised without any kind of religion or belief system. My mom would have been a good, healthy Protestant. My dad would have been Jewish, except my grandfather was this extraordinarily famous psychoanalyst, psychologist, hung with a Hollywood set. He hung out with Isaac Asimov and Carl Sagan and Norman Lear, and he was practically evangelical atheist. He was the head of the Humanist Society of Friends. He thought anything spiritual or religious was a weakness in itself. And so the word God to me was like a dirty word. I didn't know why we didn't talk about it, but we didn't. But I would drive by a church and go, I love the energy there. I see it coming out. Or a temple, or a mosque, or a synagogue. And I'd see what this magic of spirit did. But I still think I'd never been in a church or temple or a mosque or synagogue. I think I was 13 and I wanted to go to a cool Christian rock concert because the guys were cute at some church. And I was so scared to ask my mom if I go, can I go to a church? And she's like, you could do anything you want. I was like, I could do anything I want. Woohoo. I became a seeker. So I went through every part of Christianity, from the born again, the evangelical, the traditional, everything. Okay, that's really good, but I'm more of a leader than a follower. That's not okay. Buddhism, all of that, Tibetan Buddhism. And then I discovered the New Age thing in the 80s and Shirley MacLaine. And I love all that, but it's a little squeaky. I'm elemental. I'm earthy. I need something that's earthy. And I discovered paganism and witchcraft in those early mid 80s. And I went, this is beautiful. It's just working with nature and nature's elements and nature's energy. And yes, the moon and the stars and what the cycles are and why we celebrate by what the seasons are. And it felt right. Again, it's the same exact thing, it's shamans do, or Native Americans do, or Peruvian shamanism is. We just put a title on it, witch or witchcraft, and those even themselves mean two different things. To be, say, a witch, it can be, this is my belief system, my philosophy. Say it's Wicca. Wicca is a goddess oriented. We follow the Sabbats in that, or there's chaos magicians, or there's something eclectic like I am. There's ceremonial, just like Christianity. The Baptists are slightly different than the Presbyterians, are slightly different than the Catholics, than the Lutherans. The same thing within pagan. So you can take that as a religion, or you can just take it as a practice. And I'm much more, yes, it is my belief system, but the practice of witchcraft to me means it is somebody who is willing to take fate into their own hands and change fate, versus just follow where being born, just gravity flows downhill. Life itself, without you taking charge of it, always will take the easiest path. And I'm never a person to take the easiest path. So it was like, oh, I like this. This is where, working within integrity, working within virtue and ethics, because that's where people who go into the craft to do a spell working, to do a ritual, it's like, if you do not know right from wrong, or ethics or integrity, that's when you're going to get in trouble. But if you know right from wrong, and this isn't a good thing to do, you won't get in trouble. It's working with light. It's working with love. That's all I work with. But I still can change the hands of fate as I go. So like with a love spell, a good love spell is bring me the love of my life. A black magic love spell is bring me Bob down the street, because we don't have Bob's permission to do that. And yeah, there's lots of witches or people who practice the craft that will do it. I'm not one of them. And again, so it's a beautiful, empowering, self-empowering belief system where we're working with nature, we are working with the elements, and it in my world and understanding all of these, it doesn't conflict with anybody's belief system. It doesn't conflict with anything I know about Jesus or Christianity, not one iota. Sometimes what church teachings are, it does, because they say beware of this, but a lot of those were just control methods put into the 15 and 1600s. So I'm both. It is my belief system. I, believe in not just one big male God. I believe there is a feminine aspect to divinity. I do really work by moon cycles and Sabbats, and I'm also a practitioner of the craft. Again, I believe in magic. So that's where it came from. I was born into it. I was making weird mud pies out of knowing what to do with cinnamon when I was a kid. It's just in the blood.
Well, you should just have them when you do a speaking. Have them play I Believe in Magic when you're walking out on stage.
Exactly. They probably have.
Well, I will tell you, when I was 13, that's when I started exploring all the different religions, because I've never been baptized. I'm the only person in my family that's never been baptized. And my mother said, you need to discover your religion, not a religion. I need to discover mine. And April's father was my uncle, and he was a minister, but he's not the only minister that was in my family. So, and I was raised Southern Baptist, hellfire, brimstone, all that stuff. If you dance, you're going to hell. It was just the way that it was. You didn't cuss in front of my grandmother because she was her Bible thumper, and she went to church every Sunday, and so did you when you were there. And so I learned a long time ago to explore other religions. And in college, I also took a Joseph Campbell honors class on religion, and learned a lot about religion and how all of them pretty much overlap. May not have the same names, but they all have a creation.
Yep.
They all have an end. But you'll find it when you're doing that. So I learned a lot, when I was 13, 14 years old. And then later on in my 20s, I learned about religion through Joseph Campbell's eyes. And, and I suggest people read into Joseph Campbell, because he has some amazing words. I mean, just words. And they will make you think. And a lot of what you've said should make people think a little bit about everything that's around them. So,
that's what my that's what I, again, working with people, and all these times, people, again, give away their power. For one, they give away their power to other people. They give away their power to fear all the time. They give away to false self-limiting belief systems. And I'm not even talking just belief system, what we can or can't do. So that's when I wrote my book, Old World Magic for the Modern World. It's super simple, but it's just like, we are magic, you guys. We can do this. And yes, we are working with God's herbs and God's oil sometimes. We don't need to. They're just tools. You don't need anything but who you are. But people are amazing. We are amazing.
We're resilient.
Yeah.
And that's April's going to find out exactly how resilient she is once she gets into her new house, after living in a camper with 7 boys for months.
Wow.
So I can't wait for the 27th to come, so that she can walk through that front door and feel that rejuvenation of, yes, it's going to be a whole new start. I can't wait for that for her. But everybody, you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be back with Patti Negri in just a couple minutes.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and I'm here with Patti Negri. So April has another question for you. Actually, it's 3, but hopefully they all fit together. She does pretty good at that. Does divination fall under that? What kind of divination do you do? And like just using dowsing rods or other things? So she's asking about your craft and your beliefs and all that together.
Okay. If when doing just divination, other than just me knowing, like you said, you just know, that's just a tool I like to show the world. For divination, rods would be almost my big go-to. I'm not like a big pendulum person. I actually will work with, no, that's more communication than divination. No, I think I just work with spirit. I work with my own ability and dowsing rods. I have all sorts of other things, but that's what I do. But I don't consider, I guess that's part of my craft. I don't know. I don't know. I never put it together that way. I like that. Good question, April.
She makes you think. And like I said, maybe being with 7 boys all day, she's by the time nighttime comes around, she's like, I need some adult conversation. So this is where it's going to be. So, but are you working on anything now? Another book or an event?
I've got some events. Again, I just got off. It was so yucky when COVID first hit, and I had a bunch of really good things planned. Like, well, Virginia City was supposed to be earlier. We actually just did that, thankfully, and it turned out so good. I was supposed to do Vulture City Paracon. That got canceled altogether. We're still doing Slaughterhouse. Television-wise, that's just now coming back. I was just getting ready to I work with Trevor Moore a lot, who's a comedian. He's a really funny guy. He was back from I think the late 90s, The Whitest Kids You Know, and he had a show on Comedy Central. And I have this thing that I do with him on Comedy Central. It's the Trevor Moore Show. It's talk show format, but every show he solves all the problems in the world in a very funny way. But he's not one of those mean comedians. The first one out, we literally did. He did a marathon. We were 24 hours alive on television, and he kept me on for like 7 of them. So every hour we'd like, okay, we're going to solve global warming from 7 to 8. We're going to solve war from 8 to 9. We're going to solve this. And I'm kind of like his psychic sidekick on the side with dowsing rods, mind you. Yes, with dowsing rods. I use them a lot on that show. And we were just ready to go up and do another episode as COVID hit. And this whole town shut down. Hollywood has been a ghost town. The studio shut. They're just trying to get their protocols together now and come together. They're just trying to get it. But it's hard. There's insurance issues, all sorts of things. So TV's been a little bit on hold. Again, going super virtual. I teach now for a place called House of Intuition, of Zoom classes. The 3 days I just did in Texas was all Zoom. I'm doing seances by Zoom, and they work because it's almost like a ghost meter or a ghost thing. The electronics in the computers, everything hooked by Zoom makes them just as accurate, just as authentic. I'm getting names, places, everything is attached just by doing it via Zoom. It's crazy. Other than that, I think I just kind of got off the road, even though most of it wasn't on the road. I just did a thing at the David Oman House. We did a big 2-day thing over this weekend as well. Again, I had double dutied it. And I don't even know what I have coming up other than a lot of virtual things.
Well, at least you don't have to worry about the travel part.
I know.
And sleeping in an uncomfortable, lumpy bed, unless your bed is uncomfortable and lumpy anyway. But because a lot of times some of the places that you're put up aren't the nicest places.
That's true.
So in fact, that's the reason we're not staying at the La Castaneda. I don't want a train. It may be really nice beds, but I don't need the Amtrak waking me up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So, do you have a bucket list of things that you'd like to do?
I haven't ever written it down as a bucket list, but I have things I want to do. travel places I want to do. Oh, that is one thing I have coming up. If anybody's interested, in May, because we're waiting till COVID, I'm leading a Game of Thrones haunted tour of Ireland. We are going to, yes, I'm so excited. This tour group, the lady who runs I don't know if you guys heard of the International Ghost Hunting Day, where everybody goes out on the same day. Those people, they have this beautiful tour company. So they've brought me in to do a Game of Thrones tour of Ireland castles. It's like 10 days, May 13 through 20 something.
Oh yeah.
I'm so excited.
It's 8 nights and 9 days. 9 days and 8 nights.
That's it.
And it's about 1700 to 1850, depending upon which group you're going with. Because I saw Dave Spinks is on there, who's a friend of mine. Mike Ricksecker, another friend of mine. Ted Van Son, another friend of mine. And Sean Whittington.
Okay. Well, they're not on this one. Mine's only 1,600. So come on mine. I think we have 10 spaces left because they do tours with different people. This one, to my knowledge, it's me and whoever else comes with me.
Right. That's how theirs is too.
Yeah. So yeah, this one's 1,600, which is really great. And we're going to be sleeping in castles and in little villages, no Sheratons or anything like that, which makes me so happy. But bucket list, I want to go to Turkey really bad because that's where my father's family comes from, and it's just the history it has there. I've made it as far as Greece, and it was amazing, and now I've got to get to Turkey. Paranormally wise, lots of places. Again, that's why I'm excited about Europe. I've done some France castles, and I did one from 1200. I have Genevieve Bugeaud at my seance table in a room that was built for seances in the year 1200. Got all these French ghosts, what I had to do a lot of deciphering. But I want to get more in Europe, that things are so much older than America. And in America, I want to get places back that I haven't been, to the east and to the south doing paranormal. I want to go to Gettysburg. I want to go to the Sally House, all these places that I've heard about and seen on TV for so long, but haven't got to yet.
Well, I'll tell you, I grew up in Baltimore, so I got to go to Gettysburg before people talked about it being haunted, back in the 70s. And I have a cousin who has a house on Antietam. And, I also lived in New Jersey, so I used to go up to Garrett Mountain all the time when I was a kid. And I had no clue that was actually someplace that the famous people went to investigate a long time. Well, they never made it there, but that they were going to. And that was, oh crap. I just went completely blank. So, but that's okay. But, all these places that I've been, I never even thought about it before about, hey, this is just my normal everyday life. This is what I live. And, Edgar Allan Poe's house in Baltimore, big deal. No, I mean, I don't mean that sarcastic. It was a big deal. I could have went to jail. I broke in, but, but that was way back in 1977 as well, 77, 78. I shouldn't have been alone downtown in Baltimore. I was 13,
Wow.
but there's all these things that I've already done, but they're on my bucket list to do again.
Right.
Like we've been out to the Pioneer Saloon out there in Vegas. Haven't investigated it, but I don't feel the need to, since I've already been out there a few times and I've seen some of the spirits. I don't need to go investigate it. And my granddaughter loves it. She thinks that the whole place was built for her. And that they do music just so she can dance. So it's that's better for me. We've been up to Tonopah and up, out to the Goldfield Hotel and things like that. Those are some things that are really interesting to me, the historic places. So I know you probably have the same thing, that places you just want to go back to just because it feels good to be there.
Yeah, like Virginia City is one of those. I kind of like the spirits there. They're fun. Again, just got back from my second year there, and we get to go to Mackey Mansion and the Pioneer and all these places, like doing the seance at the suicide table was pretty it's pretty awesome because this place, it's got the history. I've done Nevada City last year and Mullacolony Hill and a lot of the mining towns. I remember last year, I think I went to Butte, Montana, and not as an investigation. I was literally brought out by the people in the Chamber of Commerce to sadly figure out why it is such a suicide capital. And the second I got off the plane, I figured out why. It's the mining town. All the gold and silver and copper in them, all the mountains. It's right at the Continental Divide. There's 10,000 miles of tunnels under the town. And then they went to pit mining, and then now that's a toxic thing. It's like, it's a big old generator. So good is really good, bad is really bad, and ghosts are really active.
Oh yeah. I mean, one of the places, Wyoming, huge suicide rates there per capita. Not that there's a lot of people in Wyoming, but per capita, there's more suicides there than anywhere. And people always said that it was because of the wind, that they could hear the voices in the wind. So are they hearing spirits in the wind? Or assuming that the spirits that they're hearing are wind? Right. And I mean, I remember stuff about that back in the early 80s, people talking about the high suicide rates up there. And it's like, well, how many people actually live in Wyoming? Because, it's so desolate. But then when they explained it was per capita, it's like, well, it's not that many people when you think about it. But based on how many people live there, it's a lot. Right. So that just makes you wonder. And, I don't know. I could go on all day about that. Another question from April. She would like to know if you can share anything on the power of the circle in rituals.
Oh, the power of the circle. Well, it's a delineation line for one, whether you're putting a protection circle around it. If you're working elementally, it's that's when whatever you in magical practice, you always work off a compass, a literal compass. It's a map because your compass is your roadmap going in and out of the veil, in and out of magical places. If you're working, whatever you put in the north of your compass, that's the what you're working. If you put earth in the north, you're working an elemental earth based, and that's what I usually work. Earth of earth, fire of earth, water of earth, air of earth. If you work an air-based system, you would put air in the north, so it's a spirit base. Fire of spirit, fire of air of fire, air of water. So a circle is a delineation point. So even if I'm casting a circle for the seance, that again, no bad spirits are going to get in, only spirits we invited, good and light spirits, or if you're doing a ritual of some sort. So that's basically what it is. It's, yes, you could do, we're doing a big protection circle to do this thing, but it's boundaries. It's boundaries. And so the power is just in the boundary you're creating.
Makes sense to me. Just like a lasso for the kids, April. Yep. It's a circle. Lasso those little suckers. So yeah, if you were looking in the chat room, Ron said he can't wait he wants to go to Ireland.
Yes.
But I think it's going to be more around our 38th wedding anniversary as opposed to this coming year. So we got a new baby coming in January in the family. So we know that we've got an extra trip to Vegas. So that takes a little bit of money driving out there, but who cares? I need the money for that.
Yeah,
Ireland will always be there.
It will always be there. And I think I'm working with this beautiful tour group, again, who does these great things with paranormal people and stuff. We're planning things already for other things. So maybe 2022 we'll do it again because she has all sorts of great Ireland tours. And she's a native. She's got the strong Irish brogue. She sings traditional Irish songs. So you're getting the real deal, not just some tour guide from wherever who goes everywhere.
Yeah. My husband's shaking his head and giving me the thumbs up. So it's on his list. So because Ireland's been on his list, not only that, we also do the other kind of spirits too. We like distilleries.
Oh, me too.
and so and it's funny how so many distilleries are haunted.
Why do you think?
who knows why, but I just know that there's a lot of, like the ones in Kentucky seem to just have a lot of, they put their life into them.
Yeah.
And we've been to so many at this point. I can't even keep track of how many we've been to. I just know which ones are my favorite at this point. And the thing is I don't drink a lot. Ron's really likes his bourbon, and I'm more of a, hey, give me something flavored that's kind of light and fruity.
I'm a light and fruity girl too.
And but I always tease everybody that we go on our Spirit and Spirits tour. I find him a distillery, and I find me the ghosts, so that we can do both things at the same time.
That's perfect.
So, and well, we were just looking at trying to figure out if we could hit any distilleries this time, but the Las Vegas distillery is closed still, and the Boot Hill distillery in Dodge City, Kansas is open. We're going to go there. And it's actually in an old building that used to be the jail back in the days of Doc Holliday and, back in the Old West days.
Mm-hmm.
And, they have there a tribute to the Gunsmoke show. I don't know if it was taped there or what. I don't want to know too much about the history before I get there, because we're going to take a walking tour, and the walking tour should give me the history of everything. And the whole walking tour is basically, it's on your cell phone. So you don't have to go and pay for a tour through the Chamber of Commerce or whatever. They provide all that for you, so you can just walk around and check it out.
That's awesome.
So I've never been, all these places that we're going before we get, except for one, that before we've been to Las Vegas, before we get there, we've never been. So we're just trying to find a different route to get from point A to point B. Mm-hmm. And because one of those routes is fire. I-70 is closed due to the Pine Gulch forest fire. And of course, I don't know how many forest fires there are right now, or wildfires, but there's a lot.
My whole northern half of my state is horrible. Speaking of wineries, not distilleries, I was talking to somebody yesterday. She is surrounded by those fires up in the wine country, Napa, Sonoma. They're just, everybody's getting, it's terrible.
Yeah, my daughter's husband's uncle lost his house up there 2 years ago in the fire.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to be moving back in this year. I don't know if they did. So I would hate to have, and they lost everything. I mean, they got out with just themselves and their dog.
Wow.
So it's sad. I wonder how much the fires draw spirits.
I'm sure they do. Spirits get affected. Spirits to me get affected by what's going on now with this whole pandemic. Spirits are a little kind of edgy, just like people are. I know my friend Bloody Mary in New Orleans, the voodoo queen, she said the spirits after Katrina they went dead. Not they went dead. That sounds funny, doesn't it? They just went quiet for a while, just like, because, both sides of the veil. So I'm sure they're affected by fire. I'm sure.
Well, one of the theories that we had was that all these people now suddenly working from home are now finding out that there's sounds in their houses that they didn't know about before.
Yep.
That their homes were haunted and they had no clue, which would explain 2 phone calls that I received over the weekend from different people about their hauntings. Of course, they don't realize that Kansas is quite a distance from Illinois. I mean, let's be honest, it is a little bit of a distance. But, that's one of the things that people are discovering is this is different than when you were working in the office, where you're now hearing what's going on in your home. So
yeah, I've had the same thought. So great minds think alike, because I thought it's just people aren't used to being home, and everybody's always in a rush, and people aren't in a rush. A lot of people just aren't working at all, and it gets that sense of urgency has just gone away, and it's like, wow, look at what's going on.
It is odd to see how everything has. I mean, we used to sit here and at night we could look out the window and you'd see cars going. I mean, not consistently, but enough to where you noticed it. And then during the pandemic, after 7 o'clock at night, you wouldn't see a car. And like I said, we live on a main road, and so it's unusual to see nothing. And I guess it was kind of nice for a little bit, but we actually were walking on the road and we only had one car go by us one night when we were out walking. So that's unusual. My daughter took some pictures. She lives her boyfriend lives on the Strip, or right like a block off the Strip. And she took pictures, and it was kind of scary looking to see that. I mean, I expected to see tumbleweeds going across, because it looked so quiet. And we've decided we're probably going to go over there and see what it looks like. But they're opening the Mirage this weekend. That's another hotel that's finally opening. And my other daughter works for MGM. And she's been laid off this whole time. And my son-in-law worked for Caesars. So when 1 in 5 hotels or casinos is open, that makes it hard for everybody knowing that what's going on. So I don't know. It'll be different. I wonder if they've had more reports, the cleaning crew, if they've had reports of new hauntings that they didn't know about because it's so quiet.
I bet you they would. I bet you. My favorite place to go talk to the maids and the cleaning crew is the Queen Mary in Long Beach. Besides whatever tours they do, they have both, kind of fake fun tours and then legit tours. But the Queen Mary in Long Beach, but the best place, go talk to the housekeeping staff while they're changing the rooms. They have the best stories. They will let you go into the rooms when it's between people. So that would be a really good thing to talk to some of these places. Again, they're less busy. Even the staff is less busy.
Oh, yeah. And I'll tell you, we talked to the cleaning staff at the Lump Mansion. And I'll tell you, that is probably the cleanest place I've ever been. You didn't even get a dust orb in any of your pictures. But everybody, this is our last break. You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be back with Patti Negri in just a few minutes. So get those questions in the chat so we can get them asked.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore. My guest tonight is Patti Negri. And before we get much further, My husband had a question. He wanted to know when your tour was in May 2021.
Oh, it is. I believe it is May 13 through May 21. If I was really good at this, I would tell you what the exact website is to get there. But I know there's a Facebook page, and they've been making all sorts of really great YouTube videos and stuff. But I think it's May 13 through May 21 of May 2021.
I'm pretty sure we can find it.
Okay.
So.
Yeah,
but,
if I could multitask, I would go look for it now too, but I'm so bad at multitasking.
No, you don't have to. We'll find it. Everybody can go out there and look for Haunted Tours of Ireland with Patti Negri and May 2021, and it should come right up in your Google search. So there, I took all the hard work out.
Thank you.
So if anybody wanted to find you, besides on Ghost Adventures, where would they look to find you?
The best place to find me is on my website, pattinegri.com, PattiNegri.com. And from there, you could get everywhere. You can find my YouTube page. You can find Facebook. I'm Patti Negri, or my main one is Patti Negri Psychic Medium. Instagram, I'm Patti.Negri. Twitter, I'm at Patti Negri. I'm pretty much just me everywhere, even LinkedIn, which that's so businessy, but I do it anyway. But yeah, Patti Negri, just again, Google me like you said, or just go to my PattiNegri.com. And thank you, Denise. She put it right there on the thing. Yes, Geister Maria Schmidt. Yes. Look at you. You guys are like detectives.
Well, she called me one time about a house being for sale, and she wanted to know more about the house and wanted to know if it was worth $1 million. And I said, no, it's not. I said, the people are high. and she goes, are you serious? And I go, yes. I said, they're basing the value of that house based on the fact that the Villisca Axe Murder House is sold out all but 5 days a year at one point. And it's not now, but it used to be all but 5 days a year. And I said, they're assuming that you're going to get $475 a night, all but 5 days a year for the house, and that you're going to be booked the whole time. That's why they're asking for $1 million. I said, the fact is that the house is only booked maybe 25 nights a year.
Oh, wow.
And she goes, how do you know that? I said, I've been the tour guide there for 6 years. So I knew. And so I mean, yes, I was very, very loyal, but I'm still very honest. Right. You cannot sell a 1,200 square foot house for $1 million. There's no way. You're not going to get a loan for that. There's not going to be a business loan for it. You don't have a business plan. It ain't going to work. I'm sorry. And if the really nice house across the street that's a bed and breakfast that used to be the governor's mansion won't sell for that, your little 1,200 square foot house isn't either. So, and especially since it had water rot in the plaster. But, nobody wanted to hear she wanted to hear what I had to say. And other people were like, well, it's for sale. It's haunted. And it's like, yeah, but it's a ripoff. So, you just can't do that to people. So,
yeah.
Well,
no, honesty is always the best policy.
It is, because, no matter what, karma does exist, whether it's in, the pagan rituals, or if you're Christian, one way or another, you're going to pay the price.
Yeah. It's cause and effect. It's science too. It's cause and effect, action and reaction. Mm-hmm. That's why somebody who does curses and hexes, it's like you've created you're sending out, that means you live in a world that you can be cursed or hexed. Again, you're creating the world you live in. We do every day.
Have you ever had an attachment?
One time, it was really short-lived, and it took me off guard. It was years ago, right across the street from me. Again, I live in an old area of Hollywood Hills. My house was built in 1920, old movie star houses. There's the big fancy houses, then the little writer's cabin. Across the streets where Frank Capra and Harry Cohn wrote It's a Wonderful Life. Next door is Mary Pickford's dressing room. And from the house across the street, the girl had gone through, I'm not going to say who she was, a famous actress, had gone through some down times and alcohol and got all these attachments and things. And I tried to help her all the time, but something literally rolled across the street and down into my house. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, this isn't me. This is not me. This is not me. I had a friend come over and help me with it, but it just caught me off guard because I wasn't out on an investigation. I wasn't doing a clearing. I was wandering around my house and my guard is let down for a moment. That's it.
What was your house ever featured on another show?
It's featured on a lot of shows. Yes.
I mean, because I thought I saw something similar to your house's story on like a haunting or something like that.
No, I use my house. I've never had like my ghosts or things on a haunting. It's shot a lot of things. They're coming here and we're doing whatever we're doing. Even from Clean House decades ago, Niecy Nass came and cleared out my costume house in the back. But no, it has never been on like a My Ghost Story or My Haunted House.
Okay. Because like I said, I saw something about your house, but I don't remember what show it was on.
Yeah, it's on a lot of shows.
But you were there. There.
Let me see. Oh, I can't even think of how many.
Like I said,
Yellow House, White Picket Fence. You're good because you saw it.
Like I said, it'll come to me when I least expect it. April has another question. She asks, crazy question, but how much is real magic in Hollywood in shows like Harry Potter or the TV show Magicians?
Oh, how much is real magic? Well, Harry Potter is that's a TV, that's a movie, right. That's a TV show. That's not real. And stuff like Charmed and all that's not real. That's real magic. And magic, like in magicians, regular magicians, not magic with a K, the way I do it. Magic with a C, like rabbits out of the hat and stuff like Penn and Teller. That's real illusion. And they're using the word illusion more than magic to differentiate, which makes me very happy. Those are illusionists. There is no real magic, how they can float a body without anything and cut you in half. That's illusion, and it's an art versus, ooh, we're really doing this. And I love that trend in magic. But in real magic, I don't know. Again, anything that there's not that many. And one of my bucket list is to have a show where we do real magic, and it's again positive and empowering. And we're nothing. I've never ever allowed anything to be faked. I will not. I would not. And even doing other shows, even like from that very first one, we could say this and bring some smoke in. I'm going, no, we're not. I can't do that. My reputation is at stake. My integrity is at stake. So I don't know if that answers the question or not.
Well, it's gonna have to, I guess. How can you tell the difference between good magic and bad magic? You made an example earlier where you said, I want to find the love of my life, but no, I want Bob. But how do you know that if you don't know the difference between magic at all?
Okay, there are many simple ways. Again, that sense of ethics and integrity and virtue. But other than that, you don't control anybody else, period. You don't control anybody else. You control you and your wife, your view. You put the spotlight on you. Here's a really good, but anybody else, you don't control, period. You control the world around you. Like I got on to use magic. I like my kind of challenges. It's like, I got on because I was told I'd be dead at 50. So instead I'm like, no, I'm not going to be dead at 50 because of illnesses. I went, no, I'm going to get on at 50, the TV show Wipeout, the world's largest obstacle course. If anybody remembers that, the big balls. Mm-hmm. So I literally used my magic to beat over 70,000 people to be picked to be on that show. I didn't do anything like, oh, you're not going to win. And you're not. I wished every girl and every guy good luck. I hope you make it. And that's true. But I put the extra spotlight on me. And then I go, oh, I did that. Okay, now what do I not do? I don't cook. So I'm going to get on Master Chef using magic. I didn't say, oh, you guys just over here, or again, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. It's the magic you put into yourself. So good magic is don't control anybody else in any way. And also anything that's fear-based or control-based, again, you're creating that world. Anything that's fear control-based, stay away from it. Make it love-based. Make it, abundance-based. That's good.
Well, you should. You should have said, if you didn't know how to cook, you probably should have gone on Worst Cooks in America.
But see, no, that would have been easy.
Oh, okay.
That would have been too easy. I wouldn't have need magic for that. And then I went, okay, what have I not done yet? What's really scary? What do I not do? America's Got Talent. Okay, I'm going to do America's Got Talent. And again, and I don't have any of those talents, though I'm an ex-dancer, dancing, singing, what they do. So, next thing I know, I beat another 100,000 people, because they tell you how many people, the big auditions nationwide. And here I am on the Dolby Theater with Howie Mandel psychically reading his Daub as we're rolling around on the floor wrapped up in a dash, dogs laughing hysterically. So I've beat odds by literally 70 to 100,000 3 times so far. And it's like, that's good magic, because again, I didn't do anything to anybody else. I didn't do anything to keep anybody else from getting there.
Right. You just put positivity out there.
Yep.
Speaking of Got Talent, Asia's Got Talent. Did you ever see that Rihanna?
I don't think so.
You need to look her up. She's got long dark hair, and she kind of reminds you of a horror movie. And she's an illusionist, but she is great. I mean, she's creepy, but she's great.
I do know who she is.
Yes.
I saw her on, I don't know if it's Penn and Teller or one of the other shows.
Yes.
There's another show, and she looks like she's from The Ring or one of those shows.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
she's awesome.
I just thought she was great. And I told Ron, I said, if she ever does a show in Vegas, I'd like to see that. Because I've never been to a show in Vegas, and I stalked Donny Osmond since I was 14 years old. And I still never, I went in there every time I went to the Flamingo, they weren't in town ever. And my son-in-law worked for Caesars. I told him, I said, you're supposed to get his autograph for me. If you really love your mother-in-law, you'd get, he goes, I don't get called over there. I'm like, liar. But yeah, but that's one of those weird things that I tease my family about. But yeah, she was just amazing to watch the things that she did. I mean, how she scared the living daylights out of Simon Cowell, but I don't think she was the first one to scare him, but the way that I think that's what he was on. But I don't watch a lot of those reality shows. I happen to find that like on YouTube or something, but no, I don't watch those. I mean, I do watch the Worst Cooks in America every now and then, only because I want to see how bad somebody can scramble an egg. I mean, so are my scrambled eggs really horrible, or is it just, and I know I can cook because I just made a whole bunch of apple butter today and dehydrated some bananas. So I know I can cook. It's just, do I cook anything anybody really wants to eat besides the apple butter?
That sounds good.
Know. Oh yeah. People love it. They chase me down for it, but it's an easy gift to make. Just, I probably shouldn't have done it today when it was like, what was it, 98 today, Ron? He came in and he goes, this house is hot. So, but that's me. But, the kids wanted apple butter, and I don't want to be cooking it next week right before we leave. So, everybody, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you guys all coming to listen tonight. Patti, thank you so much for coming on. This has been so much fun and so relaxing for me to talk to you.
Thank you. I have had a blast. Thank you for having me on. I wish you luck on your trip. I wish you luck on everything. And it's an honor to be here. So thank you, everybody, for listening.
Everybody, please join in next Monday when my guest is Dave Giuliano. And it's the last show before Labor Day and our vacation. So make sure that you come and listen and see what's going on for the rest of the year. So I will talk to you all later. Have a wonderful week. You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. And thank you, and please come again.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.